we're actually, our film, Where the Sweetgrass Grows we're in development right now and casting. But we had a meeting in Beverly Hills a couple months ago, and somebody came up and wanted to pitch to us about a project. And Sherry handled it wonderfully, because I forget exactly how you put it, but it's like, it's the greatest movie ever in your mind.
Oh, yes.
Remember?
Yes.
And it is, yeah, it might be a great concept, but that's not what it's gonna be. You know, when it's done, we're gonna modify it, we're gonna change it. Sweetgrass, we've rewritten, I think we're on the 30th rewrite. And it changes. We did our first reading last week, and we had certain people who are cast, and they read, you read well, but that's what, you also make a change, because you know, you also write for who's gonna be in it, because you know their talents and all that, so you kinda go for the actor. But that's also where you know, you change some dialogue, you have to change some scenes around, maybe swap out characters, you know, it's a process, and so it's been redone again, and I think you probably just got it in the email, the newest change.
Okay.
Doesn't know. Oh, I'll talk to you later.
Kind of piggybacking on what Tom was talking about, I was on a project years ago with kind of a name actor, a big name actor. I'd worked and I was going to direct it, and I was working with the writer for about a month or so, like shaping the film to what I saw and how I wanted it to be. We had this actor attached, and so we met with him for a whole day, and we went through the entire script. And by the time that session was over, I knew I was not going to direct that film, because he had so many changes. So this goes back to how many times that script is going to change, and this is in the pre-production process. We had this thing prepped. We had the locations, we had our crew, I had my DP, all geared and ready. But when we met with this actor, and I'll tell you guys offline who it is, you'll recognize his name. Yeah,
There's an NDA involved, he can't mention the name.
He's an older actor, so you guys probably know him. But he had changed almost every line, and the movie became something that I did not want to do. And I wound up dropping out of the film because I knew it just wasn't going to be something I wanted to do. And it's out there now. I haven't seen it yet, but it has been released, and and the movie became exactly what I thought it was going to be, which is something I did not want to do. So that kind of goes back to how the script is. Everybody's going to have their say, especially if you get a name actor attached. You've got to listen to what they say, because if they're going to do it, they're going to put their time and their energy and their name on it. They have a say as well. So
Exactly.
like Tom said, you can't you cannot have a thick skin when you're a screenwriter.
It's like, before Brian goes here, I just want to interject. When you hire Bill Murray, very famous actor, you get Bill Murray plus 11 or 12 of his people, and half of those are writers that he listens to. Okay, let that sink in. So when you're hiring a name actor, any name actor, they've got guys that are effectively bigger than you because you're hiring the name actor. That's a problem. It's not a problem, don't let it affect you. As Tommy was saying, develop a thick skin. Anyway, all right.
All right, so my name change story regarding Senior Entourage. Before we had the blessing of meeting Lin Tang and getting independent investors in Yutang, yes.
Yeah.
I had some famous guys, Ed Asner and Mark Rydell, and we went to two big studios. I won't say who they were, but we had meetings. And then at the second meeting we went to, they said, can you get Dick Van Dyke? And Ed knew Dick Van Dyke. So I didn't bring Dick into the meeting. He lives in Malibu. He just turned 100 years old.
Yes.
We
did.
had
He
him on a
looks great.
speaker. So I had two famous guys in the room, and we had Dick Van Dyke on speaker, and there were about 8 or 10 other people. And everybody was freaking excited, me too. So then I leave the meeting, everybody lawyers up, Mark Rydell's lawyer was representing me. I wasn't reading all the legal work, I was just reading like the first page, because I didn't understand it anyway. But this went on for a couple weeks, and then a couple weeks later, I look down, and it's not Senior Entourage anymore. I see Grumpy Old Entourage, right? Now, I wasn't upset with the title. I did not like the title. What I didn't like was nobody freaking asked me. I said, well, they're changing the title, and nobody's asked me. You know what I mean? And then they wanted to put us in a shopping agreement for 9 months and not pay us. My guys were old, and I just said, this doesn't feel right. I talked to my stars. They said, yeah, don't do it. And they were shocked. but we didn't do it. And then we found Lynn and everybody else, we made the movie our way.
Yeah.
I got one other story, I'm sorry, I may have told it before.
No, go for it.
But it's a screenwriting
Over here.
story. Probably a lot, I'm sure you guys know who David Mamet is. right?
Yeah.
Okay, wrote a lot of big movies. Okay, David Mamet started as a playwright in New York, and he'd written a lot of big plays, but his first movie, one of his first movies is Verdict, okay? And Jim Handy, who plays Father MacGuffin in my movie, was in The Verdict. And I don't know if this story is official, I heard it firsthand from Jim, because he was on the set of The Verdict when they were doing, Sidney Lumet used to do table reads. And the author, David Mamet, told Jim this story, and I'm going to tell it to you now. So, David Mamet had his first draft of the script, where the character was an alcoholic, a lawyer that was an alcoholic, right? And then it moved around, and David was getting option money, it was all in big hands, they were making good money. And apparently, it was supposed to go to Robert Redford, and whatever, and they were saying, hey, could you change this? We don't want Redford to play it. And by nothing bad to say about Redford, I don't even know if he's involved with it, but we don't want the guy to be an alcoholic. So this goes on for years, new writers are being hired, it's going around, they're changing, and then it's sort of like, okay, we're not doing this, right? Sidney Lumet comes on board, and Sidney Lumet, and this is David Mamet telling my friend James Handy, Sidney Lumet says, I want to read all the drafts, right? So Sidney Lumet, great director, he's passed away, God rest his soul. Sidney says, I want to read all the drafts. He reads all the drafts, and he says, I like this first draft that Mamet wrote, where the guy's an alcoholic.
Ah!
That's the movie they made. That's the movie that Paul Newman was nominated for an Oscar for. He won it a year or so later.
Right.
But it can just get out of your hands and go around, and you can get paid. I'm sure Mamet was paid through the whole process and options. But Lumet liked that first draft where the guy was in, and that's the movie you see now when you see The Verdict. I mean, it's crazy. Anyway, that's my
It's a good story.
Thank you for letting me share.
That's apropos.
Oh, and before I go to the next question, Randy, when you were sort of on the project, did you get paid for your time at
No.
least? You did not?
No.
Okay.
That's the problem with the independent
Yeah.
world, yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
do things
Okay.
on spec and with the hope that things are gonna happen. But
Yes.
It was heartbreaking too,
Yeah.
that was.
So
It's not for cowards.
So that's the definition of starving artist, right?
Yeah, and I was, I mean, I love the actor, and my dad was like excited, he's an older actor, and my dad was excited, oh, you're gonna be working with this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And, yeah.
I had an incident I think was good on the other side, it's positive, because sometimes we had a couple scenes were not written in the film, they just appeared, like my daughter, we were doing a hiking and all of a sudden a baby deer and a mama deer appeared, and we just put it into the film right away. We had this whole scene we just made up on the spot with it. You know, I thank God for that, because it just came up, and so people think we actually, you know, wrote that in the script. It's not in the script, it's just we knew that we had to make a scene out of it. And it was all unscripted, kinda like you said with some of these guys there, and it worked out. We had several of those things happen that were put into that storyline, because we had to, you know, go with the flow of things that experienced.
I was wondering how you got the deer on the call time.
The hardest is the butterfly. We had that.
What does W.C. Fields say? Yeah, never work
Yeah,
with children or animals.
Special
just,
needs especially, oh, and dogs, we had those too. You
What-
can't predict their speech, and it's like, you just gotta let it roll.
Was that shot up in Pasadena when you saw the deer?
Yeah, we were shot up by, it was actually by Topanga Canyon, and it was by the falls, they have a.
That's not
Oh,
a place in
yeah.
Pasadena.
I'm not passing it, but they have a place that have a rope climb, my daughter was down, so
Oh,
we
yeah.
can climb that. So we filmed her, we did all these things she likes, so when the deer appeared, it was just like magic. Another time, we needed a bus in the scene, and we couldn't do it, cause I can't really afford it. So all of a sudden, a public bus came, and I told the actor, just run towards it and talk to the driver. And we filmed the whole scene and doing it, and the driver was really nice about it. So this scene, yeah, we just came up,
I love
and so
it.
you see, there's no permits, there's nothing.
So really, the best scenes are not written, and they
No.
happen in the spur of the
A
moment.
lot of times that's.
Yeah.
Which goes to an actor always wants to direct.
Right.
Everybody wants
Then
that.
everybody, I do everything that everyone else does here does.
Exactly.
Does that grammatically parse? Okay, good. All right. So I started as an actor, realized no one was hiring me, so I started writing for myself. I realized no one was buying my script, and then so I just started directing plays, and that's when I got a foothold. And that, so my first IMDb credit comes actually 3 years after I made the decision to become an actor at the ripe old age of 28, which I should have done 12 years before that, because my father was one of the founders of the Magic Castle. He worked at CBS Television City until 1970. My mother taught drama at North Hollywood High. Genetically, I should have just gone acting, but no, computer science rebelled against your parents, right? Okay, anyway, all right, back to why we're really here. The essence of drama is conflict, and the essence of character is action. Therefore, a fight scene is really cool, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's go specifically on something that's not really a fight scene, but writing problems, let's say, that you have had because you have basically 6 people here sitting around talking about writing as opposed to actually going out and doing it.
Writing, action.
Just the writing process in general, for me, is I stare at a blank screen for about 15 minutes. And then I put my fingers to the keyboard and words come out, and sometimes they make sense. But again, it's a matter of, am I writing a script? Am I writing just my thoughts? What am I doing there? What is the writing process? Let's just maybe individually, what is the writing process for you? Fabian, let's start here and we'll go down the line.
The writing process for me, well, usually what I do is I just don't think about it too much. So that at least that gives me a starting point. I say, this is where I want to start, this is where I want to end, and I just start writing. Whatever happens, happens. The second time around, I start to edit out material that I don't think is going to lead from point A to point B. And I just keep doing that and doing that and doing that. More or less like when a baker kneads a piece of dough and you just kind of fold it in on itself over and over and over. And I just keep fleshing it out until eventually I come up with something that makes sense. Because in the process of writing, you're going to be your own critic, and you're going to be your own worst critic. And something that I try to do is not necessarily write for myself, but I'm always thinking to myself, well, if I was an audience, how would I feel about this? How would I feel about seeing this on the screen? So I'm always thinking about things that are going to appease me and at the same time appease an audience, a viewer. Someone's gonna say, hey, I'm gonna pay money for this, and I'm gonna go home fulfilled, satisfied to some degree, you know, having been a part of that as an audience member. If that makes sense.
No, yeah, most definitely. Brian?
Okay, the greatest piece of writing advice I ever got was from a guy I went to college with, William Master Simone, also a famous playwright and wrote a lot of good screenplays. And he would say to me, Brian, sit down and start writing and write and finish. He says, don't edit yourself, don't look at yourself, don't judge yourself, just finish.
Yeah.
And then when you're done, that whole process will start. Everybody will give you feedback and tear it apart or whatever, and you can do that yourself. Greatest piece of advice I ever got. Another interesting anecdote, which is true, not just a story like the one I just told. It's in a book. I love Sidney Lumet and I love his movies. He's got a great book called Making Movies. And it's not a how-to book, it's just stories. And Dog Day Afternoon was directed by Sidney Lumet. And Al Pacino and John Cazale, who passed away of cancer, God rest his soul, according to Lumet, in his book, Making Movies, there was a screenplay, but because Cazale and Pacino were like best friends, according to Lumet's book, 70% of that dialogue in the movie is improvised. They're just going crazy,
I heard that.
okay? But
Yeah.
is the writer pissed off? No. Because who won the Academy Award for Best Screenplay that year? Dog Day Afternoon.
Yes.
That writer won an Academy Award, and I'm sure he's thrilled with the movie, and 70% is just Pacino and Cazale improvising. So it's not always a bad thing if you have a
Right.
cast like that. Anyway, enough said.
All right.
I like
Tom?
that.
Well, something I've always done is I get an idea for a film, and sometimes I just pick up a little something off the news that just hits me and sits in my mind and goes like, we need to do this. Or I see something, or I'll see a horse and I think, okay, this would be a great way to branch off into something equine, you know. So I'll write a short, you know, 25 pages, build my characters. After I'm done with it, I'll look at it and say, okay, can I make this into a feature? I built my characters already, you add more to it, obviously, and you expand on your story. But I use that as like a starting point to go and do something. And one thing we're doing is we do movies to support and promote a cause. Like Sweetgrass is about a serial killer who targets teenage girls. And we want this to impact and help support the exploited and missing children and that. And so we want our projects to either do things like that, support veterans, support first responders, you know, and make a really true story that goes out of those areas. And another thing I was taught a long time ago when writing, they told me two things, and a director told me this one time on a script. He says, you know, you're the writer, not the director. You know, and I said, okay, you're right, Peter. You know, you're right. And the other thing is let the actors act. If you know, and I talked to one film I was doing, a actress on Sopranos. She came up to me and goes, Tom, I don't like the way this sounds. I said, well, why not? She says, because that's not how I would say it. And I said, well, how would you say it? And she told me. I said, well, then say it that way. I said, it works for me. I'm not, she said, well, writers get upset. I said, no, I don't get upset. You're making it better. So that's just,
Okay. I'll move down to John, I'll come up with what my comment
Yeah.
later.
I can say basically, you get an idea. I kind of like weird ideas, as Randy knows, so I'll take things that are not normal, but they also have a social issue where they deal with a spiritual issue in some way. I like to do that. Like, and I find an area that's underrepresented, and I kind of want to see something that I haven't seen as much. So like my daughter is in a film we're just getting edited now. It's called Loose Ends Down. It's the first ever Down syndrome hit woman. So it's kind of like The Professional meets Spy Kids.
wow.
Yeah, so it's a neat one, but we had all these special needs kids in it. We've got 20 of her friends, the biggest guys, that come down to rescue her and the hitman when they get captured. They had a blast. But you know, did I write all that? I wrote the story, but it kind of just wrote itself. You know, all the things in it, and the hitman's handicapped too, he doesn't talk. So he uses sign language, and he has to communicate with the phone. So there's all these nuances in it. Now, how did I come with this story? I'll thank God above, because I wanted to make a story where her and her friends could have fun in it, that get them to be action heroes, because you don't see special needs kids as heroes. They're usually the ones that are the side pieces someone's helping out. So I wanted to have them empowered in a way that they're usually not.
And you can't write for them either.
No. It's like, so you have the general idea of the scene, and we let them kind of come up, like you said, with Pacino, the dialogue and stuff. So I find out, you know, writing the first draft, that I tell friends, I have a lot of friends that want to screenwrite. I get them going. I do the same thing that he said. I said, don't stop and look back and go back and fix it. Just let it go. And scenes will come to you while you're dreaming at night. It's weird, and I'll wake up in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Right? Isn't
3
it?
a.m. for me.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And you get up and start writing. 'cause you get
Why
like
is it 3 a.m.?
I don't know.
You're getting to take a pee, or you're.
God wakes us up. Is that what
Yeah.
you're
So
saying?
I finally put a
4:30
notepad
for
next
me.
to my bed, because
3 o'clock.
if I do go pee, I forget what I was gonna write down, so I write it down first. I go.
So you have the notepad,
So
like,
you
yeah.
have the notepad on your nightstand?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I do.
Okay,
I do the
do all
same
of us
thing.
have a notepad on our nightstand?
Yeah, keep a notepad. 'cause-
Memo.
Okay, 21st century, I use, oh, it's not in that pocket, I use one of these.
Yeah, the phone,
okay.
Yeah, inspiration comes, and I think we have to be ready for it, and I feel that it's a God-given thing to us, and we all have that if we allow it. If we stop trying to criticize ourselves because we're not doing it perfectly, because a lot of my friends, what they want to do is they keep going back at the first page and they say, but I can improve on this. I go, like he said, just wait till you're done. Have fun in the process. I'll tell you one story that's inspiring for me, and one day I got 30 pages done in a day. It just rolled off, and I'm at a coffee shop. And I'm
that's
laughing.
amazing.
I know I'm laughing, I'm crying, I'm getting upset because I'm getting so much into the characters. The characters are writing it themselves. It's like, I can tell this doesn't fit a character, you know how you feel, and you can tell it fits, and you just let it go.
I've canceled stuff because I'm on a roll and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stop. It's like, oh my God, these, just what
It's
you're
like
saying, it's
inspirational
like,
moments are
it's
great.
like, no, if I stop,
And it's
I
good that you got the
forget.
I
freedom
like
to
that.
do that.
Yes.
When you're getting paid, and we'll touch on.
Yeah.
When you're getting
Actually
paid.
When you're getting paid,
Yeah,
yeah.
when you're getting paid.
Well, even you're paid
Yeah,
or not.
how much coffee did you have to buy to stay?
I'll do one caveat. I had a story I wrote for a friend who's paying me this time, but we could discuss the notes and what he wanted. I found all of them. 2 weeks later, he wanted to change the whole thing around. He's new to this process. And I'm like, I can't do that. It changed the whole storyline. It made it something that was not unique. And it was like, I said, we discussed all this stuff. So I have this whole script now. We have a falling out, but I'll just give you a briefing. It's the first ever sci-fi romantic comedy Christmas story. It's like Back to the Future meets It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, wow. That sounds cool.
So it's
There's
pretty
time
cool.
travel involved?
Yes,
Okay.
they go through a black hole. The whole idea is the multiverse.
I hate when that happens.
And it deals with the Christmas Eve too, and there's a lot of spiritual thing. It's just weird.
Love it.
But anyway, so that's my brief story about it.
Randy?
I mean, I have the issue that he was mentioning earlier about, like, I couldn't write for many years because I'm a perfectionist, I have OCD, I'm like, I get stuck on having the perfect sentence, the perfect word, perfect dialogue, and I can never get past it. And I put scripts away for many years because I just cannot get past that first page. And it's not writer's block, there's some kind of a blockage there, but what I learned, because I'm also an editor as well, and I learned, like, okay, you wanna sit down, you wanna edit your film, you just gotta do it. You just gotta go in, and the rough cut, the first draft is not going to be good. Gotta realize that. As soon as you start realizing that first draft is going to be horrible, because when I was talking about the film, the screenplay I wrote when I was in high school, I look at it now and it's freaking terrible. But I'm a 15-year-old kid and I wrote it, but it's like,
Exactly.
that was an accomplishment. And this little guy from Georgia writing a screenplay in high school was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I get so
15,
locked
yeah.
in and so focused on every written word. That's why I haven't really written my own stuff in a very long time. And I go in and rewrite, because for me, it helps to have just have that collaborative effort. Like, I work a lot with John. Like, John is very prolific about, I mean, like I said, he could write a screenplay in a day, knowing that it's not gonna be great
It's
the first
crap.
time. Open to ideas, and we go in and we collaborate on it, and we kinda go in and we fix it. So I think that would be,
He makes it look good.
yeah, I think that would be advice, would be like, just don't get stuck on the
Yeah.
first draft, because it's just not, sometimes it could be the first draft would be brilliant, but a lot of times it's just not. And kinda, hopefully you're still, also the issue is sometimes, you know, you have, the greatest, like the meme I was talking about earlier, I have the greatest freaking idea, and then you write it, like, what was I even thinking? Horrible.
How can I rescue this?
Yeah, how do I save this idea?
When do you get to that point?
It's
You're
hard.
like
It's like,
a
how do you
third,
keep-
2/3, all the way to the end. When
I know. Well, just as filmmakers alone, you probably experience this too. Like, you're on a film for a year or two. It's like,
Yes.
how do you keep the passion for that project, either in the writing stage, directing, or editing? Like, how do you keep the passion for it? And it goes back to what you guys, it's like, do something that you love, do projects you enjoy. I've made a lot of films as a director, you know, for money and for travel, and because I did some films in Europe, and you know, they're good films, but I just wasn't, like, my heart was not in them. So I'm making a conscious effort to only do things that I know, because I know I'm gonna be on this film for 2 or 3 years. Like, I have to be passionate about it, otherwise it's gonna fall to the wayside. And I think that's the case for screenwriters as well. You gotta be passionate about what you're writing. I know that, you know, you can make money doing writing for hire kind of thing, but like you with that science fiction movie, like, you did it as a writer for hire.
Right.
And you love the script that you wrote, and then it changed, and it's like, you want to keep the passion for it, but, so yeah, it's like, write what you love, write what you know.
It's like you rescued that dog story, I'm gonna say, because he sent it to me.
Yeah.
And he made that dog story good. I called it dog story, but it was really good.
Yeah,
now, but it
yeah.
was.
The screenplay was
I'm sorry, but it was
so, yeah,
so-so.
I went in and spent a weekend
Yeah,
rewriting
it's
the
much
script.
better now.
And making
Very cool.
it work, you
Yeah.
know? But,
It's all about making it work. All right,
Yeah.
Mike, do you have any
You're right.
specifics
Um,
about your process?
Yeah, so because I like to direct most of the stuff that I write, you have to think within the parameters of what budget you're kind of dealing with too.
Always.
I would love to have a scene where somebody's jumping off of a rooftop into a helicopter, some Mission Impossible type stuff. It's just not gonna happen right now. So you have to,
Right, yes.
right, I mean, look.
You can write it, but
you
you're
can
never
write
gonna
it.
shoot it, right?
Right.
Okay.
And Fabian is basically my right-hand man, always my DP. He'd probably be like, Mike, I don't know how we're gonna do that. But, you know, you have to, right, you have to know what is feasible,
Right.
you know? And that's why I like to do action films, you know, I like to do thriller films, suspense films,
Right.
stuff like that. But I still know, okay, what can be done, what can't be done, how can we cheat this? You know, one location, two locations, you know, you have to think pragmatically about that. So that's the thing. And I will also say, writing like what you love and doing what you love, so important. I recently caught up with an old high school friend who works at Universal. On paper, great thing, but more like office type stuff. And he's like, Mike, I'm jealous of what you do. I said, what? You're working for a studio. He's like, but you're writing and doing what you love. You know,
Exactly.
you're directing what you love, even if it's on the indie scale.
Right.
You know, he can see how much I'm enjoying it.
Right.
You know, Fabian, who's spent weeks with me on set, knows that when I'm on set, I love it. I love it, and hopefully he does too. But you know, but you see it. So it's a lot of give and take. Even if we might not have the budget, or there's times where we don't get paid at all. Sometimes we still love it, or we believe in the story. We believe in the content that we're creating, and that's important.
Yeah.
Indeed, I would
I
agree.
like that.
All right, some verse in the New Testament, Tammy can look this up. You can't serve God and money. So your choice is, do what you love, like you say, or be a work for hire. And to that point, I would say, at some point you're gonna get paid, you're going to ask to not be with the project anymore. Hopefully you get the check before they do that to you. All right, does anyone have any specifics about work for hire, where, like, John, you said you basically had to walk away from that one project?
Yeah, we had another one in Lee can that I don't wanna be negative or positive about it. We worked on a film with a joint project with a Chinese production company.
We went to China and everything.
Randy helped out, Lee did. We took a script they had and really spent months rewriting it. It was a good initial script, but it needed a lot of, I would say, what was it, kind of, what would you compare it to?
Yeah.
It's a suspense thriller, what would
Yeah.
you compare the film to? It's kind of a, I wanna say, Silence of the Lambs, but it's not like that.
Yeah,
really, but it has this earmark, it's a very suspense thriller. And so we worked with a lot of things that would make it connect better, because there are a lot of things that were left loose, and you know, a lot of you writers know this, you have some painting or something in the film, you want it to come up later. So if there's a reason for everything in the film. you
Because
don't have to-
foreshadowing is a thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of foreshadowing. So some of that was missing, and a lot of other things were missing to it, so we put that all together and sent it back, and we got the message back that, they didn't like any of it. And then later we asked for the rewrite, and they sent the rewrites the same as the one we sent. So it's like, so I was confused, like, okay, do you like it or you don't like it? And so it never went forward, but I don't regret it, it was a great opportunity, and I still think it could be a good film, but it's just, you know, those are things you have to walk away with and say, okay, I'm glad for the opportunity, I'm glad that we got a chance to work with them. And learn to, when you have to let go of a script, because that's just not the right time.
We learned from it too, in the
Yeah.
sense of,
Yeah.
you know, we got paid up front at least.
We did.
And that was the
Yeah.
key, is
Yeah.
that they flew us to China and everything and pitched us the
Right.
project and did all this stuff. But yeah, getting paid up front, because a lot of times it's hard to do that, especially on a lower budget scale. You know, it's.
And especially being flown to China.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great story too, it could have been a really good film,
But,
and we just feel bad that you can't force things.
Yeah, and then this was right before COVID too, so
Right.
once COVID
Aye.
happened, everything just kind of, so yeah.
So, let
Getting
go.
paid- Yeah, and then you gotta let it go, it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the song from Frozen.
Let it go. Oh, it is, now it's gonna be stuck in my head all day.
Is it?
Well, come on, let it go.
Let it go.
Yeah.
They say, let God let go, so I think that's it. So realize that you can be in a hired project, you're gonna have to realize it. And everybody here knows, sometimes you have projects people offer you and they wanna pay you, and you have to say no. Unless you want it, because there's times where you're dealing with people that are new to the industry,
Oh my God.
and so they have
The story there.
Okay, Tommy has the story. Okay, I'm gonna
I'm
interject.
glad you do
John,
that.
let's let Tommy tell
Yeah,
his
sorry,
story
Tommy.
there.
Someone, there are people that have great ideas. I mean, everybody's got a great idea. It's a question of putting it into a script. There was somebody I worked with, and they watched and believed Hallmark movies. And I said, it does not work that way.
Real life is not a Hallmark movie. Write that down, everyone.
I-
Real life is
I
not a
just-
Hallmark movie.
And
I'm in one, by the way, right now.
Yeah.
Hidden gems. Continue, sorry.
Well, no, it's okay. But it was like, well, we gotta get financing for this, we need this much and that, and it's kinda like, well, what kind of, research did you do and all this stuff, and, the money just doesn't come like that. It's not all of a sudden you open an envelope from somebody that says, oh, here's $400,000 and you start production or whatever. No, it doesn't work that way. And this person had said that, and they saw on social media that I had one of my other scripts get picked up. And it's like, how come your script got picked up, but mine hasn't been yet? I said, well, for one, I've been pushing this one for 4 or 5 years, and you only brought it to me like 6 months ago. I said, you gotta understand, this thing takes years. And that's the biggest problem, is the impatience and the inexperience of these people. And I have to say, blessed, getting back to our Sweetgrass again, it's an adaptation of a best-selling novel. When I first was given the opportunity to do the adapted screenplay 6 years ago, I told the author, this is gonna take a long time, and explained the process of adapting a book. We have to, we keep the theme the same, but we have to change some stuff, we have to add characters, we have to do different things, develop the character arcs differently. And Lori has been fantastic. She's just been along for the ride, going like, she says, I can't believe you've been pushing it for so long. And I said, and that's how it takes. But finally, you get so persistent, they'll like say, well, let's do it, or get them out of here somehow, and it's like, but that's it. It's the inexperience, because they don't understand how it works. It's like, and you don't make a gazillion dollars off of this.
Right.
And that's the other thing I try to explain to them, how much it costs and how much we actually make, especially as independents. And I always say, there's a lot of times what we make is not monetary. It's the satisfaction we get in our soul. It's working with the people that you love. It's creating something that is art. And yeah, but we're back to the starving artist again. It's like,
It always comes back to that.
yeah, right?
Indeed, are you willing to serve?
Yes.
Yes.
It's been there, done that, so it's like.
Okay, let's close in prayer. No, wait.
Start with
I'm
my
sorry, I thought I was at a Bible study there for a minute. All right, okay. I had a really great question, which might have a really great answer from all of you. Okay, so have there been any times where you have, we kind of touched on regret of taking projects that maybe you shouldn't have taken, but how do you know, let me tell a little story. In kindergarten, you have a sandbox. Everyone plays in a sandbox, you get along with your friends great, and until a cat comes in and does its business, it becomes a litter box. Okay, that's the short form of a story that I stole from David Gerald, and if you don't know who that is, I'll tell you after. In any case, the point being that when have you been in a sandbox that has turned into a litter box? When, and were you able to get out? Or were you just stuck with it? Fabian said, no, let's let him go first.
Well, this wasn't a writing situation. I was a DP for something. It obviously got written. So I guess I could talk about it. I won't give any specifics. But I got interviewed by this director, nicest person in the world. Nicest person in the world. We spent about 3.5 hours on that interview, just talking, smiles. It's like, oh, this is gonna be great, wonderful person. Day one, hour one, he's yelling at me at the top of his lungs in front of everyone, saying things along the lines of, whenever you need a reference, you're never gonna get anything good out of me. And it wasn't just me, it was all, he was yelling at all the departments, and I was like, wow, this is hour one, day one, I got 25 days of this left to go. So, yeah, I couldn't get out of that one.
Wow.
Oh,
I lost the crew 4 times.
Mm.
And I kept trying to replace that crew, but all my crew would call those people and say, don't go, don't go.
The word would spread, yeah.
Yeah, the word had spread by then. It was just a really bad experience. I don't know if that makes sense to what you were asking, but yeah.
No, that's exactly
Yeah.
what it is. It's
Yeah.
basically you were given false expectations. You were
Right.
you
Yeah.
were overpromised and the director underdelivered, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's what it
it's
was.
adjacent. It wasn't a writing story, like you said, not a problem. We can talk about other things at panels that are not necessarily related. to
And I
the
couldn't
topic
leave.
thereof.
I really couldn't leave because I had brought in something like, 65% of the workforce, so I couldn't abandon them.
Yeah.
So I stuck it till the end.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I could go back to the story I was talking about with the name actor and sitting there with him.
Yeah.
Speaking of Hallmark and green, so the producer on that project was very green. He'd never done anything before, so he thought, oh, this name actor is more important than the director on this film. So in the end, the actor won the day, which I understood, but, and the thing is, what was happening with that film is, when I came aboard the project, I said, okay, and I worked with the writer, for a month on the script. Everyone on that production knew exactly the film that I wanted to make. And I kept saying every time, I am not making a Hallmark movie. Speaking of Hallmark, this is not a Hallmark movie. You could very easily, in the wrong hands, turn into a Hallmark movie. That's not what I'm making. But in that meeting with that actor, every line changed. It was turning more and more into a Hallmark movie. And that's exactly what happened, and it's out there right now, and it is very Hallmark-ish, which is not the film. And I had to walk away without getting paid at all. And that happens more often than not, where you're hoping this thing is going to happen, and you put all your time and energy and money and work and everything. It's like, oh, this is gonna be great.
And it gets hijacked.
Yeah.
It gets hijacked by one, it could be one, I mean, in this case, it was one person, it was an actor,
Yeah.
and, it's like kind of fell apart. I mean, luckily, they didn't make the film, and it's out there, but it was definitely, I mean, I still, this was like 10 years ago, I still think about it, and when I see it, on streaming or whatever, when I see the thing up, I'm remembering back in the time. It's like, I wish I'd done things different. I wish I'd had a contract at the beginning. That's one thing too, that I'm starting to learn. Get it in writing up front, get a contract up front. Even if you're gonna write something, because you've learned that too, John, getting the contract up front,
Oh, yeah.
is very important.
You
I mean,
have
yeah, you can write stuff on spec, but sometimes that goes to
Yeah.
hell,
I think I gotta give a brief story, I'll try to be brief, a story of perseverance. In the first film before I met Randy is Ugly Shoes. And that was a true story. I won an Ugly Shoe contest in San Diego. And how that happened, I lost everything in my life that day with my two friends. I lost my job, my girlfriend, and our house got evicted. Ended up in Laughlin, Nevada, and found these Ugly Shoes. Came back, entered a contest with the guy that was sleeping with my ex-girlfriend was running the contest. He was a radio announcer. That was a script that Hollywood picked up, and they were almost gonna make it. It went from studio to studio. So in my 40s, my friend that wrote it with me had a stroke, and so that's why I decided to get into filmmaking. And I had everybody ask me, well, have you ever made a film before? No. Have you done a short? No. Have you been to film school? No. How are you gonna do this? I don't know. I had people that believed in it, and they raised money for me, my producers, and they raised, now this is not what I did advocate, but they had actors pay for their roles. I wouldn't do it again. So we had enough money for it, then they went to Mexico to shoot another film, and they borrowed or took money from our budget. So what I was left with when they came back was $2,000. And we had 17 locations, and thank God I got a casino for free, we got a Porsche for free, Quality Inn let us film for free. I'm a good talker, I guess. So I had people that were in these places, they put them in the film, the guy that owned the casino, and the head of security, we made them actors in it. And so all these things worked out, somehow we finished that film. But it was like, there's so many times we should have walked away from it. The first night, the ladies helped me produce it, because I never directed before. And she's telling me, I'm talking to the actors, because I wanted to tell them what to do. We rehearsed it. She goes, oh, directors don't talk to the actors. And I go,
Wait, what?
yeah, it gets worse. And then I started
When
talking.
has that ever happened?
Then I started talking to the cameraman about what I want. And he goes, oh, directors don't talk to the crew either.
Really?
That was the first night. So we're doing 20 pages in one night. She doesn't want me to talk to either one of them. And I know this all sounds crazy, but somehow we finished, and the next day I told her, I gotta talk to the actors, have to talk to the crew, and I don't care if you hate me, we're gonna do this. So it's just, one straw after another. And they lost 6 hours of footage.
Wow.
And we had to figure a way to fix that. So what we did is we had, my friend and I were in a bar, and every time we lost footage, we were talking about what happened, and then we go back to the film. So it was like having this like reminiscent thing, and that was the only way to save the film. So that'll be coming out, Ugly Shoes.
Very cool.
Yeah, so yeah, just adapting.
Product placement, this is one of the sponsors, the tea, and then also the chips are another sponsor. And I've got 2 more cups in case.
I've got something.
I don't want you to burn.
We're calling timeout, but this is still screenplays. We're talking about writing in case you tuned in late.
Sorry. I'm klutzy.
It's okay, as long as
Talk
you
about
don't spill
problems
the tea
with
on the floor,
screenwriting.
because then we have to pay for that,
I
I
have
think, I'm
problems
not
with
sure.
pouring for tea.
Anyway, all right, we good on the,
Could I say one other thing?
you may
too?
say as many things as you like, Mike.
Okay, you know what, going off of what, Randy was saying, I did one of my earlier films, it was one actor that made my life a living hell on a night. She would bring her own version of a shot list and give it in front of me to the DP and say, this is what I want, all that, and I was directing it. Maybe, I don't even know if I told you. It was such a bad experience, and it was something where I rushed into it because I really wanted to do it, I wanted to make it, I was hungry for it, and if anything, it was a valuable lesson because I kind of took a little bit of a sabbatical after, I kind of had to mentally detox from it. It was that horrible. And then I kind of got new crew, new people on board, everything, and from that, I kind of came out from the ashes, so to speak, and felt better, you know, but it was a terrible, terrible experience. You know, enough that, I mean, we don't talk about the mental aspect of it that much. I was so burnt out. I mean, it really, really affected me. So I'm happy that, again, I was able to kind of come out from it, but I needed a little bit of a break, that's for sure. I don't know if you guys have experienced that
Never.
before or something.
Every time.
but- Yeah, every time.
Yeah,
So
every-
that was,
I mean, every time you're on a film,
We
it's
have
like,
some-
why are we